Welcome to this edition of At the Mic. I am your host, Keith Malinak, and my goodness, we are getting so close to Election Day 2014. It's obviously very important. The stakes are high, and my goodness, we know that the rules are not followed when it comes to elections the way we would idealistically hope they are. But we know better. And you know better because of your own research and because of what we've discussed in this forum in the last couple of months with Jovan Pulitzer. And this is part 3 of that discussion, of that conversation. And if you did miss the first 2 parts back on July 4th, and then I think it was again July 25th, somewhere in there, I'm going to make it easy for you. There's a couple of places where you can find those conversations. You could go to youtube.com/atthemic, where you might be watching this. Look for the Deep Dives playlist. And the other place would be pinned to the top of my X page, my Twitter page, at Keith Malinak. This handy little place with all the... I took advantage of the articles feature that the X subscription affords you. And so if you go up there, you'll see the dates, the guest, the topic, and ta-da, there you go. You can go catch up on the conversation because it's eye-opening. There's a lot of very, very important information contained within those conversations. More to be covered today. It's frustrating. It's enraging at times. And but it's stuff that we have to talk about and that we have to know because we have to be able to combat it. And I will say, before I bring on my guests, which of course include Jovan and the great researcher Eve, I'm gonna at least throw this out there that I personally have this go around, and then maybe they can address this and maybe expound on it, or I don't know, throw a wet blanket on it. But something that I think this go around in 2024 that we have kind of on our side that we didn't in 2020 is the fact that we now have people in place, some in government, some that are just volunteers. Some people that work in the elections field that are now more aware of what's going on than 4 years ago. And they know what to look for. And in some cases, they know how to stop it. And so I do have a little bit of hope in that respect. I genuinely do. And that takes a lot for someone like me to have any kind of hope whatsoever. So I think that we do have people in place with knowledge that they didn't have 4 years ago, and I'm very grateful for that. And it's in large part to people like Jovan and Eve who have done this legwork and spent painstaking hours and time in order to bring us this information. The other reason I have hope is something that Jovan said, and I think it was the first part of this series, where he said that, and he's explained this to Donald Trump himself, that the reason Trump won in 2016 was because of overwhelming turnout. The fraud was in place in 2016 as well as 2020. Why do you think Hillary was so confident? I'm sorry, in 2016. Yeah, so in 2020. So, but the support for Trump was so high in 2016 that the fraud couldn't catch up to it. And so that is... that's something that makes me think, okay, so now we got 2 things going for us. We've got the fact that the fraud has been overcome by just massive support for a candidate in Donald Trump in 2016. And now in 2024, we have the knowledge from the 2020 fraud. And it's easier. Well, I won't say easier, but it's something that's now on the radar. For those that are in positions that can do something and hopefully make sure that the right thing happens here. So without further delay, I'm going to bring on Mr. Jovan Pulitzer, who is joining us graciously, time yet again. Now, this is our third thing. I've already got you on retainer, Jovan, for November 7th, because if we've learned nothing about the recent elections in American history, we know that on Thursday, November 7th, 2 days after Election Day, we're still going to be trying to figure out who the hell the next president's going to be. So I appreciate you already committing to that too. And Eve, I know that you're out there, but the box that had your voice in it is escaping me now. So I'm not going to put anything on the screen here to share yet.
Yeah, there was a kind of a few weird connection things. I was having a very difficult time on my end. Maybe it's the storm coming across the country. I don't know, but everything kept on timing out on me. Or maybe it was that we were talking again.
Well, we're going to be kicked off, I'm sure, because you don't make many friends doing this, do you, Jovan?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
So I'm going to turn this over to you. But what I said there was, I have hope because, like you said, in 2016, Trump's support was so high that the fraud, it was too big to rig, right? So
right.
The fraud couldn't catch up to him. And so in 2020, we have that knowledge of what they did. And Eve's got the contracts, the videos, and more stuff to share here today. And I just look at 2016 and what we learned from 2020. Is that a good reason for me to have hope here going into 2024? And by the way, Eve, I do see you now. I'm going to add that box to the screen here. We want to protect her identity, and I want to be extremely cautious with that.
Please
so I'm going to add her on here real quick here. Okay, so your audio is hot now, Eve. So you can, yes, I can hear you. Okay. We can hear you. Perfect. All right. So fire away, Jovan. Eve, take it away.
When we look at 2016, it's like you said, coming in, that President Trump even asked me after sharing with him everything and trying to work on a plan for this 2024 is, how did I even win in 2016? It's a numbers game. It's always been a numbers game. The reality is, in 2016, the system had already decided that Hillary would be in. That was the plan. And they had accounted for that. But the one thing you cannot account for in any of this is the person who spontaneously shows up to vote. Mm-hmm. The people that weren't aggressive voters or are voting every time the door opened. And so I explained to them that in 2016, sir, that people just basically got off their ass. I mean, that's just what happened. People went and voted. Now, of course, the system couldn't have that again. And so what they did is, in their panic and their Trump derangement syndrome, went so far over it that they actually, had somebody like Joe Biden get more votes than any other president in history.
So believable. 81 million, baby.
Deal. Right. And so that's why they had to go so far. But you have to understand, the system's still doing the same thing to us. The one thing that gives me confidence for 2024 is I just think that God is looking out for Donald J. Trump, simple as turning his head and the bullet not hitting him, and many different times. So I think God's on our side, but I look at simple things. See, the Democrats, we have a uniparty. We don't have two parties, but the Democrats always said in 2016 and going into 2020 that every vote must count. Every vote must count. They curiously don't say every legal vote must count. They just say every vote must count. Now, that's what's going on right now with the Republican Party, saying we're going to hand count the ballots. Well, they could no more tell a ballot cast by somebody dead or somebody that was illegal. There's 8 million of those now added to the books. You can't tell by hand counting. And they're also saying the same thing that the Democrats said, just a different way. We know mail-in voting is part of the problem, but yet now the Republicans are saying, bank your vote, which is actually just saying, hey, vote early and keep mail-in voting. And so it's still going to be a battle. We're going to win it by people basically getting off their butt and having voting parties. You're going to have to be committed to this. You're going to have to get family and friends together, and you're going to have to go together, because you're actually going to be not only voting, you're going to be taking your witnesses with you in real time, right?
I love it.
And that's what you're going to have to do. So you're going to have to take your jury of your peers with you to vote. So everybody is there and sees it. But again, you got to get out. And you know what? Who cares if it's storming and raining? You know, you got this Hurricane Helen, whatever, coming through the country right now. Who cares? Won't you stand in a snowstorm, or won't you stand in a hurricane for hours if that's what it takes to save our precious United States of America and make sure we stay a great republic? We've got to do whatever it takes.
So can I just, I want to just quickly just touch on something you just said. Do you genuinely believe that Donald Trump will be inaugurated on January 20th? Because I do. I think this is going to be a case of 2016 combined with the knowledge that we learned from 2020. And I said it last night. I did a live stream that I do believe that he will win. And I just wonder, you as well, huh?
I do believe that, number one, let me state it this way. Donald J. Trump has already won. The writing is already on the wall, and it's already chiseled in stone. Now, the difference is, will the system allow him to be inaugurated? That's a different question than winning. Now, here's what we already know that's going on. We know that we should have cleaned the voter rolls starting 4 years ago. That never got done. The system told us, don't worry about the voter rolls. It's like sweeping a dirt floor, don't bother. Well, in this last 22 months of don't bother, they've put on over 8 million illegals. Now, those illegals, if they assume they can vote, they're going to vote. And by the way, they're not doing it for illegals to vote. They're doing it so they have the excess ballots in the system. But there's other indicators as well. If you go back and look at 2020, it's the first time we ever had this stuff like, oops, we printed the ballot wrong. Well, it's all automated. There's no such thing as printing a ballot wrong. But you've already seen it in Minnesota. You've already seen it in Wisconsin, where they printed thousands of ballots and said, oops, we got it wrong. We got to reprint them and put them out. Look for the second right answer. The second right answer is those thousands are staying out there. The machines can still read them. They're printing more and sending them out. And by the way, you don't get to look at the ballots anyway. And so how do you even tell if it was the old ballot or the new ballot? The rig's already in effect.
Yeah. I mean, even here in Texas, I mean, they're letting homeless people use a church address as their home address. And I actually have big concerns for Texas and for what seems to be happening behind the scenes of the voter rolls here. And people accessing the database and so on.
I think I have a good number for Texas. Let me see if I can find it. Well, it's not readily at my hands. The numbers that have been put on the voter rolls with illegals alone in Texas may supersede 2.5 million people.
I mean, that is just
for Texas.
Grotesque, man. What is the... I'm just checking here because I used to know this number. Let me just check here. Maybe you know off the top of your head, or one of you know. Let's see. In Texas, what was the difference in votes in 2020? Like the official final tally between Trump and Biden. Do you guys know off the top of your head? I'm checking right now. So hang by here. If you don't know, scroll down. Okay. I mean, listen to this. I mean, it's only about 500,000 vote differential on the official tally. It was 52 to 46, right? And it was 5.8 to 5.2 million. So that's plenty to steal Texas. Madness.
They've imported enough votes to do exactly what they want to do. Now, the difference is pros and cons on all sides. All they're playing for is a reason to deny that they have to accept the results. The same thing they accused President Trump of. They're playing for a reason to deny. We're caught in this crossfire that I actually think they do want civil war, and either way, they'll possibly end up fostering it. Yeah. However, when you look at the numbers now and you look what they put on, it is going to have to be such a monumental rig that it's going to be almost impossible to cover it up. You think 2020 was bad, with supposedly 81 million people, whatever, voting for Biden. it's going to be worse now because they're losing the Hispanic vote. They're losing the Black vote. They're losing the gay vote, who's not just, I want to bop your kids. They're losing votes left and right, and they're losing votes on the economy. Now, this is what concerns me, is they always, when they're going to rig the system, they always play in advance. And here's what I mean. And we'll go back to Arizona for 2020. Arizona, for a year and a half before the 2020 election, basically did a campaign that said ballot machines get gunked up because of pens. We're switching to Sharpies. Yes, you can vote with a Sharpie.
God.
And they promoted it and said, don't worry about it. We've got a brand new paper that will block the bleeds. Well, they never used the paper, and they did Sharpies, and they went so exclusively on Sharpies that they didn't even distribute pens, and they forced everybody and put out memos. We don't care whatever you do, but on election day, you must use Sharpies. Now, what happened in that scenario is you had a glut of ballots out there, and then on election day, they were able to see the numbers. Now, if we go back to, like we talked about before, Bernie Sanders in October of 2020 said he was just psychic. But the one thing he did say is, well, what's going to happen is they're going to count the election day votes first. Then they're going to have to deal with the mail-in ballots. Now, here's what you need to know, folks. And I'll take Maricopa as an example. They have election month. They're scanning in ballots every single day for a month headed up to election. That they say they don't count them, but the technicality is when they scan them in, it drops them into the election files. They know what's up, but it's because they separated the process that counts them to say only when we stick in this card does it count as counted. Well, they still see the numbers. Well, you have to use basic linear logic. If they are scanning in votes every single day for a month, and then they get to election day, and then they say, but we still have to count the mail-in ballots, which technically they've already counted. What are they doing? And why do they run election day votes first? And it's because that's how they do the counterbalancing. Now, you combine that with the telegraphing that the GOP has done from the time Ronna was in and still being done. Hey, bank your ballot. They could have a power outage. They could have a snowstorm. They could run out of paper, so bank your ballot. Well, number one, I hope they have a snowstorm and out of paper, because by law, they have to let you vote. So I hope there's problems, because then you get to look at it closely. But they did this con game. Nope, you got to bank your ballot. That is what has me worried. The Uniparty has turned it on. They're pushing more people to vote early, even though they shouldn't. They called it a new name. It's mail-in voting and early balloting, right? They call it bank the ballot. And that's what truly worries me. This time, it's the GOP who's pulling out all the stops, I think, to make sure President Trump doesn't get in, not the Dems.
Are you for real?
Yes.
I swear, man. I see you do this to me every time. You take reality and you shoot down my hope.
Well, you know what? I mean, come on. Look, look, here's the deal. Would you rather know that they're coming to rape and pillage your home, or would you rather have them catch you off guard? If we don't look at this honestly, I mean, come on, let's just look at it honestly. We had the Democrats tell us forever, every vote must count. We never thought about that until they counted every damn vote, even if it didn't count. Now we have the GOP basically telling us the same thing, bank your vote, when we know it was the mail-in balloting that did it. But what's the initiative that they come out with? Bank your vote, which is only mail-in voting and early balloting, just called something else. That's how stupid they think we are.
No kidding. Okay, well.
And then they bank on, look, they bank on people not knowing the rules. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
They said, power could go out. I hope power goes out on election day everywhere. You know why? Because let's just say the net goes down and you can't vote. Well, it's not supposed to be connected anyway, be proof. Even if the power goes down and it stops it and we have to continue to do it, it doesn't work like this. They don't go, well, the power is out, so the doors are closed, so we're only going to count what already came in. That's not how it works, folks, but you're letting fear rule your brain.
Oh boy, Eve, you want to jump in here and interject anything?
Do you want to get me off the ledge first?
Right. I know. I opened up this conversation thinking, okay, look, I think this is going to be okay. We're just.
I think Trump can do it. Look, I told you the truth.
So
Trump has already won in a landslide. I told you what's the difference. The words are everything. The difference is if they'll let him in after he wins.
So we've got to not only wrestle away the fraud from the Democrats, but from the Republicans too, is what you're saying. Okay.
No, I think we just have to realize that we're in the final countdown for a battle for the soul of America. This is not small.
I agree.
This is not small. Mm-hmm. When you have a government that will hold back a manifesto for a trans murderer that went in and slaughtered kids in a school, and they'll hold back the manifesto because they just don't want to impugn the trans community, but yet you get some bozo in Florida, which I think was a Secret Service setup, and they'll release very quickly his manifesto saying, hey, it's $150,000 bounty. We'll make sure you get paid.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting how that one got released immediately, and then in Nashville, not so much. Okay, Eve, what's going on? What do you got for us here?
All right. Well, I did some research. Again, I've got a pipeline going into a group in Kentucky, and sent some information on the capabilities of the system. And the fact is one of my original hypotheses from 6 years ago that it was being stolen at the poll books is highly plausible. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here saying I know this happens or I've seen this. I want to show you today capabilities. And where do we want to start? Let me show you. Hang on. I'm going to show you. Okay, I'm going to show you one poll pad.
Now, will we be able to do this without exposing or on screen? Not that you haven't shaved that mustache, but
so okay, I do see another screen here at the bottom. You want me to put that one up that just popped up for me? Okay, here we go.
Okay, so this is a poll pad. Now, there's all kinds of these. I sent you a list. I looked over every single one of them. 90% of them have this remote capability. And this is one that I did a deep dive in for the group in Kentucky because this is what they used.
Remote capability into this poll pad. Accurate? Is that right? Okay.
Absolutely.
My
gosh. Yep. And before
which is different than the fact that they all can connect to each other as well.
And not only do they connect to each other, there is a kind of a command and control system. So what's on the individual poll, excuse me, I've got this echo going on. What is going on the individual poll pad can be seen by the master system. It can upload and download from the individual poll pad. And then you'll see in a minute that the monitoring system can upload and download from either one of the two. And they're getting actionable intelligence. So they're getting how many ballots were dispatched, how many people have shown up.
It's a descending list hook, Keith. Do you understand that? You have a finite number of voters. Okay. When you can, we'll use the old term, telnet into these things, when you can look at them and you understand you have a finite number of voters, and then you have two-way capability. Number one, with same-day voting in some places, they can just add people as they need them, right? But when you understand you're dealing with a finite list, let's, in this case, say 1 million voters. And let's say that you're getting to the end of the polls. You're constantly monitoring this information. You have the same voter list. And as you see the ingress or egress of voters.
And who's monitoring this, by the way?
Whoever on the outside, whoever the nefarious actors are, whoever, right? As they're monitoring inside and outside, and what she's saying is by being able to do this, All they're doing is kicking names off a list. It's just watching for the names as they pop up. And so you start to quote unquote see the spreadsheet get smaller. And then you get to that window. What's that window? When the poll closes. But what's still going on? Counting. Now you have net. How many people did you have gross? How many people do you already know have come in mail-in ballots? How many people have now come in on election day? Net down. How many are unused but still active? That's where they can use it as actionable intelligence to insert whatever they need. That's the nefarious part of the system she's showing you.
Man. Okay. I see this other graphic. You want me to put that up there, Eve? Did we lose you?
Hang on.
Okay.
There you go. Okay.
You may put this on the screen, the other graphic?
Yes.
Okay.
And remember,
Yes.
everything's about information, folks.
Mhm.
Everything is about information. You have to know what you're dealing with real time.
So what we're going to show you is pure capability here. This is things that are 100% fact. If you get the book Countdown to Chaos, you'll have everything you need to understand this.
Yes.
And to break it down, what you see in the lower right-hand corner, county voter registration system, your election management system, and your election day connectivity. That's your poll book, print-on-demand printers, and so on. So they're sitting down there. Then you're going to have those networked to your county. Not your county, I'm sorry. In Kentucky, where I was dealing with, that was networked to their state. So that was pulling live information from the Secretary of State's office, and it's on demand. That, and I'll show you shortly, that system can be updated on election day. This is not something, it should be something where once those voter rolls are iced, solidified, they shouldn't need to be updated again. That system on that poll book can be updated on election day.
Right. I'll give folks a little piece here to understand an example maybe in your state that might apply. Let's say you don't have a state that allows same-day voting. But if you were to look into the systems from the state level, they do have real-time updating systems that are constantly updating those voter rolls. So if they can't add them, what are they updating? Do you follow the disconnect?
Yeah, and by the way, and jump in here if I start to butcher this, okay, Eve. You sent me the contracts that clearly don't let anyone tell you, oh, well, those machines aren't connected to the internet. That's what I always hear. They're not connected to the internet. That we constantly hear that. Never connect to the internet, blah, blah, blah. First of all, we've seen proven in courts of law that they clearly can connect to the internet. But you sent me the contracts that clearly state they connect to the internet, the contracts of the service being provided. I mean, this is...
Yeah, and that's what I want to show you today, is that this isn't guessing. This isn't somebody sitting there creating conspiracy theory. These are facts. These are presentable in a court of law, presentable to the jury of Glenn Beck, and so on. Like, I'll show you the contracts in a minute. But I want to start with this map here. And again, so here's your system. Then in the case of Kentucky, this would be the state government. So here's the monitoring system. And it's monitoring the data that Kentucky is serving. Okay. And I'll show you.
They're not serving fried chicken, baby.
It's Kentucky. We might be. Little KFC, brother. Anyway, I will show you shortly. And again, I have to mute this for a second. I'll show you again where it shows you that it uploads and downloads, what it's doing, and then we'll show you CrowdStrike, how exactly it does. And not like, oh, we think it can do it. No, we're going to actually show you at the machine level exactly what it's doing. So then once you get outside the government through the cloud, here's your ISAC. right? Your Center for Internet Security. It's horrible. Here are your monitors: FBI, CISA. This is the Fusion Center Association.
So all of these government entities, which we
Mhm.
know are nefarious in their own right,
Mhm.
are the ones who are actively monitoring this.
Yep.
They're protecting us to make sure there's no Russians coming after you. So we've got to see everything.
And I will show you their own words that this isn't a guess. This is only those people that we know in their own words that are monitoring. So I'll pull that up later.
And please remember, the countdown to chaos is not anything to do with opinion or anything to do with just theories we have. It's 100% their words, their memos, their emails, their meetings, their contracts,
it's just
and their executive orders.
It's just it is such a wealth of knowledge, 500 pages long, and the references. I mean the
hundreds and
footnotes,
hundreds and hundreds of references you can cross-reference yourself.
On and on and on. Countdown to Chaos, Silent Federalizing of Our Elections. Look for it, Jovan Pulitzer, Eve.
Okay.
Just an incredible book.
Okay, so now that we've gone through the map, let me stop sharing that.
Oh, stop sharing that. Okay, I'll pull that down. I got it.
Okay.
Okay.
And let's see.
And whenever you need to play the CrowdStrike video, I do have that at the ready. Just let me know.
Okay, let's look at the contract.
Yeah, let's look at that contract. Holy crap! Let's look at the contract. And again, when you have coworkers,
think the old Brendan Fraser movie, Bedazzled, right? It's all in the contract.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Deal with the devil.
I don't get out much, Jovan. I haven't seen that. But listen, if you have family or friends or coworkers who try to use that line to dismiss you because the chaos that's coming after November 5th, you're going to be cornered. You're going to, hey, well, you're a Trump supporter. So what do you think about this whole, because you know those things aren't connected to the internet. Just find out where we at, about 32 minutes into this live stream. Just be sure to have this ready, and show this person in your life, because we all have them, and show them where, well, hell, the contract itself, you don't have to believe me, it's in the contract. So anyway, you want me to put that on the screen there?
Yeah,
Eve?
if you would. Well, in Kentucky, so the law in Kentucky is written so that only the tabulation system doesn't have to be connected. Anything else can be connected. So as you have a system like this, where the steel and the intelligence is clearly at the front end, this has to come off. This has to get completely away from connectivity. Sorry.
Let me.
Sorry,
I want to chime in if I can, Eve, real quick. Keith, let me explain something. Eve, let me chime in here just for audience real quick.
Yeah, she's having audio difficulties for those that are watching
When people go to vote, and you check in and you're handed your ballot, you mark it and you walk over to somebody and they take it from you and they scan it and they say, "Thank you for voting." The issue is you did not vote. What you just did is you only cast a ballot. That is not your vote. Now, those systems immediately report it into the election management software. So now everybody knows every vote you did. But because they broke apart tabulation, meaning here's the result, they did a nifty little trick that says, well, yes, it's there, but actually we're also recording it to a card. And until we take that card out and then we go down here to another machine and stick it back in and offload it, it's not tabulated. So you've been taught you can't see the count of the votes because they changed the words. You can see everything. Their little word plays, well, we haven't tabulated it yet. And that's the con. They see everything there is. That's why they need to see it. But in the contract stuff, they said, well, the tabulators can't be connected. That doesn't matter. It's already done. It's like any magic trick. By the time you've seen it and go, oh, wow, the magic trick's over. It's been done. It happened before that.
Oh, it's interesting, too, because, Jovan, I don't know if you've ever talked about this, but the United States Supreme Court case, 1915, I think it was, U.S. versus Moser. Do you know about this? There is a Supreme Court case which basically established that a voter has the right to know that they cast a ballot, but that case also stated that the voter has a right to know that that vote actually counted.
Correct.
So
that's what they've separated, because they have taught the world that casting is counting, when in fact casting is one thing, counting is something separate, and they broke them apart.
Right. So I would implore anybody that's looking on ways to attack this is look at U.S. versus Moser. Anyway, so here we have this page here is just for proof that this is real. Okay, this is the MOA, Memorandum of Agreement. This is between CIS and a county in Nebraska. This would completely mirror any other state contract that's a member of the MSISAC, which we know is every state in the United States. So I'm going to take this one down. And I'm going to take.
And of course, they call it the Center for Internet Security and all this other stuff. I think they should just call it Internet Security, right? And they should just hyphen it, call it IN Security. That way they're at least truthful. It is insecurity.
Yeah, insecurity.
Got it. All right, let me know when you want to put this screen back up. You ready?
Yeah, we're good.
There. Okay. Boom.
All right. So this shows.
Are you able to zoom in on that highlighted part at all?
Yeah.
If you'd like to. And y'all take your screenshots so you can show your friends and family that disagree. All right, okay. What do we got here?
So I got to just make sure I have the right page up here. I highlighted it because it's just important to see that.
I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it for you. Each endpoint device will have access to a secure internet channel for the EDR service management and monitoring by CIS. Now, let me explain something to you folks. You know how when you get these voting systems companies sitting in front of Congress and say, we don't make machines that connect to the internet? Well, the reality is they don't make machines. Secondly, it's only when you look in the documents, you look in the manuals that you understand the county, the very people running the elections, are the ones that provide the connectivity. Period. There it is. Your own administrations that are administering your elections are the ones that make it seeable by everybody. And when you remember that the Election Assistant Commission voting systems rules are all voluntary, now you see how this rig works and can't be enforced.
Yeah,
because the voting company didn't do it.
Yeah, he's not BSing you there. I did a little more research and go dig, and it's 100% voluntary. It's like, here are your standards. They're voluntary.
It tells you access to, that's to and from, operation of, that's how the machines ran, and then security for the machines and systems is 100% voluntary.
Yep. All right. I'm going to show you another piece of this contract there.
So you understand that, you know, the system will always tell you, and I even had this with the Attorney General's office in Arizona. How many people, you're telling me this would take thousands and thousands of people to rig an election and do this? And I said, no, you want me to run Arizona's? Give me 5 people, I'll take it over. It doesn't take a lot of people. It's because it's built into the system. And if the people follow the rules that are in the books, it only takes these people back here sitting, peeking in to do the rest of it.
Okay. Hang on a second. Real quick, I see that other screen is ready there, yep. Eve. I want to check this real quick. Arizona, what was the difference there in terms of
10,517?
I knew you'd know that. Okay. So my question to you is, we saw last week in the news the 98,000 ballots. how concerned should we be about that? The Supreme Court of Arizona saying, yeah,
well, the 98,000 illegal voters that can't prove citizenship. Well,
right.
Basically, Arizona has a very interesting law. They wrote a side law, which they can do in states, that says, well, if you can't prove you're a citizen, then you can only vote in the presidential election. It's called a federal ballot or a platinum ballot. And in Arizona, on Uwakava for 2020, they had in excess of 20,000 people vote. And supposedly, President Trump lost by 10,517. Now, when it comes to the 98,000 that, oops, we didn't know this. Oh, my God. You're looking at an interesting loophole. Now, here's the loophole. The loophole in Arizona that they're talking about is a 1990s, late 1990s statute that used to be in Arizona that you had to prove citizenship when you registered. That's what the law used to be. Now, they removed that from voting in Arizona. You no longer have to prove citizenship, although it is still a crime to not be a citizen and vote, and it is a crime to register an illegal to vote, and it is a crime to send a ballot to somebody who's not qualified to vote. But they kind of removed all of that. So they're making you look backwards in time to 98,000 people that they say, oops, we forgot to confirm your citizenship, but it's going back to the late 90s. And by that smoke and mirrors, they're not having you look at the 3.5 million brand new illegals they put on the books.
Good stuff.
In the last 2 years.
Did you all see where they're reaching into foreign countries now? Did you see that, Jovan?
I sure did.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and this is some of your hope, Keith, is,
is it?
I think that they do see, like, again, where you see that the straw polls around the country of unions that are 60-40, 70-30 Trump, and all kinds of different waves showing there's huge Trump support. They're now putting millions of dollars into trying to field new registrations in foreign lands. And now they're not asking for proof of identification there either.
When Taylor Swift came out and did her endorsement and sent them to the website to register, 150,000 teeny boppers did it right away, and none of them were required to put forth ID or even be the right age.
I thought you said hope. Come on, Eve. So hold on. I have in front of me recent going on.
I don't think she was saying hope. I think she was saying dope.
Okay, gotcha. At some point today, I want to go through all of these states, just recent happenings in Nevada, Georgia, and Wisconsin. Put y'all on the spot. But did you want me to first put up this?
Yeah,
this
let's do the same thing. You put it up, and Jovan, you read it because I'm struggling with my audio.
This is item 3, third-party provider terms and conditions. Entity acknowledges and agrees that as part of providing the EDR services, CIS has contracted with third-party provider, CrowdStrike. Entity further acknowledges and agrees that in return for receipt of the EDR services, that it agrees to the following terms and conditions as an end user of CrowdStrike services under this agreement, which basically bounces it to a whole new EULA, a whole new sets, which says, hey, grab your ankles.
I'm going to put another page up this on.
Okay.
That's going to be the.
Yeah. You tell me when.
You understand this is all about plausible deniability and pushing it out there. So see, the election company doesn't want to get caught in the crossfire. The local officials don't want to get caught in the crossfire. So they break it all apart, each do certain things where they could go, well, I didn't know, but they can push it out on a third party who's not under government control, that does not have government oversight. And then that party can say, oh my gosh, we were hacked.
What a web. What a web. All right, Eve, would you like me to put this on the screen now?
Yes. And this is part of the the terms and conditions that he left off. I mean, this is an entire page, but
computer users have no reasonable expectation of privacy regarding communications of data transmitting, stored, or traveling to or from the entity's information system. In other words, we're going to open a socket in your system, and because we reside there, we can see everything and we can send stuff back and forth, and you cannot expect that to be kept private. B, any communications or data transmitting, stored on, or traveling from the entity's information system may be monitored, disclosed, or used for any lawful government purpose. Now, remember, those are individual items. They may be monitored. No crap. They may be disclosed. Oh, yes, here's where the status is. Oh, and by the way, let's add in lawful government purpose, because people will combine those together and think it's all for lawful government purposes.
Yeah, so let's put those in order. Monitored, the CHS and SCAR, disclosed.
That's the federalizing part of the elections, guys. It's not supposed to be monitored. But because they got to protect us from the Russian, right? They get to monitor it. Please understand what's done. The moment they monitored it, they made us have federalized elections.
Yeah.
The disclosed segment, think about your NGOs and think about how they've been activated everywhere you look now.
Now, what does an NGO do? Now, understand how this part works, the disclosure part. They're watching every precinct, every vote. Now, in the market, you have all this influx of ballot packets. That's where it's mailed or picked up or whatever, harvested. Those ballot packets go to an NGO. They open them up. Now they have the ballot in the envelope, and they're sitting there waiting instructions like a big Kinko board in Vegas, right? Keno board in Vegas to play. And all of a sudden says, we need one in precinct 748. And these NGOs getting that information because it's been disclosed, they're filling out their ballot. That ballot is then filled out, put back in the envelope. Keith, who brings it back in?
Oh, boy.
The ballot mules. That's what they're trafficking.
So when you watch that movie, I ask people over and over again, how did they know who to send to which boxes? And how did those precincts never get busted?
And that's why they rotate them around, and that's why they do it, and that's why they spread them out. And here's the clause that makes that happen.
Yeah, and any lawful government purpose, let's just think FBI for jurisdiction.
We're monitoring against Russia. We've got to do it.
Right. And they can basically share this information in certain districts and in certain localities where they have jurisdiction, and it's lawful.
And all they do, and understand what they do. At each of the voting precincts, they establish and put in an ACLU attorney to monitor for lawful activity. In these fusion centers, they bring in lawyers. Oh, we got to protect it. Are we protecting it? You see, we're reporting and we're doing this diligently. Yes, you're protecting everybody. It's all plausible deniability with cover.
Okay, now we're going to go back to,
Okay, while you do that, let me throw out another state here. Recent news article here.
Did you say throw up or throw out?
Both.
Oh, it's the same. Never mind.
Nevada Secretary of State. I'm just reading this from Robert Beadles.
Beadles is the man. You want to talk to a great American hero, somebody that has spent millions of his own money to fight this corruption. That's Robert Beadles in Nevada.
Just like you, brother. Just like you, right? So he tweeted out the Nevada Secretary of State, Washoe County Register of Voters, and Washoe County's DA's office have been invited to explain what they certified under penalty of perjury to be true and correct. On October 11th, we will be exposing the data they certified and giving them the opportunity to set the record straight and explain why, with knowledge of only 3 precincts voting data, we can determine all the others, or how every precinct voted nearly identically, or how votes are shown flipped in their own CVRs, and much, much more. By the way, I want to continue this tweet, but I just want to say that I didn't ask Jovan or Eve about this beforehand. So
no, we didn't know. So
so I figure if you don't know, how to respond to this, by all means, I hate to put you on the spot. Join us on October 11th in Boomtown and share the Operation Sunlight post with everyone you know in Nevada. It's time these servants serve us, and explain. So what's going on there, Operation Sunlight? What's going on?
Well, first off, the best disinfectant, sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Beatles is a true American hero. Think of it this way, and I'll just use this as an example for illustration purposes. Let's say that you have 1,000 precincts in your voting area. What they're saying is we can go and pull 3 precincts.
Okay.
And then we can tell you what every other precinct will end up being. And it's because there are determinants of what they're doing and how they're backfilling and the time delays and stuff to be able to basically say, here's how the rest is going to end up. And then they're triangulating this with what's called maladministration and malfeasance to say that you have a fiduciary duty to make sure this is accurate. You are certifying that this is accurate and it is canvassed, which means technically it's audited and verified by the state. However, how can you do that when we can just pick 3 randoms and be able to tell you how everything else will go? That is a statistical improbability, and it also shows that these people are just certifying what they're told to certify. They're the ones that get in trouble, but it's the system doing it to them.
Okay, you ready for me to put this on the screen here, Eve?
Yeah, this is going to be a short one here. I mean, this is basically just proof of when we showed you that map earlier, and it had, so if you look down here, well, first of all, the first statement, this was their goal all along, to have election day live monitoring. They say this is their 2018 year in review. So they stayed as much. They've always wanted to have live monitoring. If you go down below, you see the federal agencies that were referenced.
Which they say is intelligence analyzation, intelligence monitoring, Department of Homeland Security, National Fusion Centers, etc. Partners reporting back and forth to each other. 225 federal employees going back and forth through a separate channel, all in real time.
And this is their words. This is not us summarizing something. This is,
right.
It's kind of like that. Was it Newsweek that put out the article that said it was the best rig ever? I mean, they came out after 2018 and they told you.
Yeah.
Just what Jovan read to you.
They clearly say, look, this was an intelligence operation. In all the contracts, we have the right to do this. And we're doing it to protect you. That means we're within the law. And therefore, you have nothing you can say about it.
Let me ask you, while Eve gets, I think, maybe another slide ready. What was and I think you kind of alluded to this early on in today's broadcast, where you stated Wisconsin. What's going on there with the 2,000 ballots that I saw that, like you referenced? Oops, sorry, crazy us printing these ballots and sending them out. Our bad. Duplicates.
They bank on people not understanding how the system works. Number one, if you went back prior to 2020, you didn't have these weird anomalies where states or counties or precincts would even say, oops, we sent out the wrong ballot. It never happened before. So what they need in the system is a banking term called fungibility. They need an overabundance of ballots. Now, what people don't understand when they say we printed the wrong ballot, you're thinking in your mind like you printed out something on your printer, it was wrong, therefore it's not usable, in the trash it goes. No, that's not what this means. See, in our elections, and I'll go to Maricopa, for example, people think there is a ballot in the general election. In fact, in Maricopa, there were 10,500 different versions of the ballot. Why? Because you have different school board initiatives, you have different fundings and bonds and whatever the case may be, different districts, different candidates, and then you duplicate it all in Spanish. So there's 10,500 of them. The systems don't actually read the format. The systems accept and place the format. So the newest rig to get fungibility in and hide it, it's always the boo-boo mistake. We're going to hide it as a boo-boo. So what they can do down ticket, right, is they flip-flop the dog catcher with the librarian. Let's say hypothetically, I'm making that up, and say, oh my goodness, how did we ever do that? And we sent out thousands of ballots. We've got to correct it and send new ones. Well, see, the first ones are already sent. The second ones are sent too. Now they have a double wattage of ballots out there, and the machine knows no different.
Wow.
And it's never about the races they're saying. It's only about the bigger races they want to swing, and they need all of those extra ballots. Now, think about this. You never get to look at the ballots. They don't want you to touch them or audit them. How would you even know, was that ballot A or was that ballot B? You don't, and they know that.
Okay, so let me throw this at you here. Is the 11th hour RFK joining forces with Donald Trump and fighting all of these battles in court, winning some, losing some, to try to get him off the ballot in some places, keep him on ballot in other places, or get on? Is that kind of, for lack of a better word, last minute chaos? Is that actually benefiting Donald Trump in that now there's less time to print all of these ballots, or am I just trying to find hope somewhere where maybe it doesn't exist necessarily?
No, you're just watching the wrong podcast.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Okay.
Look, I'm worried about that. I'm glad RFK is around. I'm glad he's coming in. There's a certain amount of Democrats that will vote for him, but there's a certain amount of never Trumpers, and they know it. And evangelicals that they'll go for him. And that's why when they focus, you had this big thing about Kamala's ad coming out, and people were saying, I voted for Trump and now I'm not going to. You find out they're paid actors. Mm-hmm. You're seeing a lot of those commercials. Why are they doing that? Because they're trying to push you to RFK as the alternative. They know they suck. They want you to vote for RFK. I don't see it as a good thing. I'm very concerned about that issue.
So, okay, but I don't have a map in front of me of the states where he's been successful, but you're saying that bigger picture, this isn't the help for Donald Trump that on the surface that we would be led to believe.
Well, people, it's an interesting conundrum that we face because we want to vote our conscience, we want to vote our ethic. Right now, we do not have the ability to vote either our conscience or our ethic. We have to vote our economy and the remainder and our country staying. And that may be against your ethic, and it also may be against your morals. It also may be against what your better judgment is. And that's why some people are going to have to hold the nose and vote for Trump if they're a Trump hater, because you're voting for our country to continue to survive. And this is where the interesting conflict comes in. Because people are my right to vote, and I'm not going to do that when they're actually throwing away their vote.
Okay, Eve.
If I can throw you two more bones of hope here. With the RFK thing, the one thing that I will say I think is a bit helpful is now he has a stage, right? He's been appearing with Donald Trump. He's been appearing with Tucker. He's getting more exposure in front of more people than he ever has. So I think there's some help there.
Well, he's making people look. He's making Democrat look. Yes, that's a good thing. Will they do that? Who knows? Yeah.
Well, and my other stitch of hope here is that if you look at some of the internals, so the one I was looking at was Rasmussen. His internal shows basically crossovers, and crossovers from Democrat to Republican has been steadily 2 to 3% higher than the reverse.
The only polling organization I trust, period, now is Rasmussen. And therefore, if that's their numbers, the people there say it, I like that. But will that 2 or 3% crossover? I love it. But again, this is the battle of whether the United States of America stays or not. I'm not poo-pooing that. I'm just telling you, have your head on straight. Don't think this is fait accompli. Don't think Trump has it in the bag. Don't think because they tried to assassinate him again as his numbers go up, Don't do that. They want you in many ways to believe everything's great. So you get down to the last minute, screw it, he's going to win anyway. I don't need to go. No, you need to vote like your next breath depends on it, because it does.
Absolutely.
I see another slide ready. Shall I put that on the screen, Eve? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to zoom in and out a little bit on this one. This one is to show you a poll pad system. There's the name of it, and so on. And then, Jovan, I'll let you read here the capabilities.
It basically says Knowink offers election management tools that allow jurisdictions to see voter turnout in near real time, monitor status of poll pads, and remotely lock or disable poll pad if there is a security issue at a polling place. Blah, 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 blah. All poll pads Knowink. Supplemented by Cisco, Meraki, and Novotel products, ePulse allows election administrators to remotely oversee the operation of the poll pads, which includes viewing the battery life, average check-in times, number of ballots issued or spoiled, number of voters we need to rig the election in the coming hours. No, I added that in. With this live connection, election officials are able to directly connect poll walkers via video text messages, and video chat is built in with poll pad application and customization. Written messages can be sent in between ePulse and poll pads. And by the way, Knowink, aren't they part of that Chinese company that got in trouble in Michigan?
No, I'm going to go over a list of ones. This one is actually, the CEO is a Republican.
Okay.
And my point on this is that, you'll have people in counties that'll do their due diligence and say, oh, this guy is, he graduated from whatever, he's a conservative guy, like I trust him. And that's where useful idiocy comes in, because it's still, you've just handed them the front door to all your actionable intelligence.
Well, yes, let's look at this right here. The voter that came in, and the ballot has been cast, period. That's all you need to know. John came in, John cast his ballot. Take him off the list. Who do we have next?
And that's uploaded and downloaded during the day.
Now, let me ask you a stupid question. Why would any election official at real time need to know what voter actually voted? Any plausible reason? I can see, hey, we want to know if 50,000 people came in. Why would they need to know the actual voter who came in and voted?
I can only think of one reason, actually.
There you go. There is only one reason.
It's when I show up and they tell me I've already voted.
That's right. Or they need you at the end, and therefore, because they know you didn't show up and you're a low propensity voter, then they know they can pull one out of their hat, claim you were a mail-in voter, drop you in a mail-in box, and you know what? You're not going to come looking for your vote.
Congratulations, you voted. In fact, I would encourage everyone to go to their, I don't know where would you, as Secretary of State, look up to see because you can find your voting history. And if you haven't voted, and you haven't voted in recent elections or what,
look how many times you voted.
Look how many.
You're so dedicated.
Good of an American citizen you actually are. Okay, Eve, while you get your next slide ready, I want to throw this out there. Is there any hope that Georgia will be better this time around with the recent decision that they're going to hand count votes?
Okay, well, let's kind of go through that one. There's two things.
Hold on. Before he goes, I know him well enough to know that he is about to destroy any semblance of hope from that ruling. Go ahead, Jovan, do it.
There are two things in play in Georgia that they've done to secure your elections. Number one, they've approved a really pretty ballot paper that has holographic imaging and colors on it and secret words and everything else. And that way, we're using ultra secure paper. Now, the first thing I have to ask you is, who checks for that? Nobody. Does the machine check for that? No. Do the machines kick it out if it doesn't have the extra special super secret decoder ring holographic image in it? No. Are they going to let you look at the ballot so you can confirm it's there either before or after the mark? No. So what's the best thing to come out of that for the 4 million Georgia voters? Do you know what it is?
No.
the 25 cents per ballot that the lawmakers who sponsored it get paid.
You make me
Yes.
sad.
Then, okay, so Mike Lindell is gone from turning the machines and melting them into prison bars to we're going to hand count the ballot. Okay, let me tell you how it works. You're going to go down to your election official office. There's two ways to do it. You're either one's going to come in through the mail. They're going to come in and get opened up. They're going to get scanned for the quote unquote signature check. They're going to put them in batches of 200, and then they're going to hand them over to counters to count the batches. That's one version. The next version is you're going to walk in to vote. You're going to be given a ballot. You're going to mark a ballot. That ballot's going to be scanned in, okay? And then they're going to be routed around after the election, put into batches of 200, and you're going to count the vote, okay? So you're going to be counting three types of votes. You're going to be counting mail-in ballots, also known as early votes. You're going to be counting early voting in person. That's people who came in early and voted in person. And then you're going to be counting day of. Okay. Now, the fourth largest state of putting illegals on the voting rolls with no ID and signing them voter registration is Georgia. So here's the question. You're sitting there, you're going to do a hand count. You've got your nice little table. You've got these little cameras, which they copied off all my work in Arizona, and they're going to look at it, and you're going to count the votes. So here's my first question. Which one of the voters was dead? Different question then. You failed. Which one of these voters is an illegal alien? You failed. Which one of these ballots is actually not the right paper? Well, you failed. You're counting exactly what they're telling you came in. How do you know? And then last but not least, which I asked the hand counting crew, Cause of America, I pinged them and said, I got a question for you. Mm-hmm. Let's say that in the whatever you're counting, you find out that there are 5,000 votes. But the problem is you have 5,000 ballots, but even if you check the poll books for who checked in, which they don't do because it's not part of their contract because they're just counting. Let's say you have 1,000 people that really weren't there. Well, people will think, okay, we're just going to disqualify the ballots. Well, here's my next question. Which 1,000 ballots are you going to pull out?
And honestly,
and then last but not least, let's go to Michigan, where they did this in 2020. When I first blew the whistle, hey, this is supposed to be mail-in voting. They all should have permanent folds in them. And they did recounts. Well, you actually saw people that are doing the recounts. The people counting will go to the supervisors, go, wait a minute, this has no folds. What did the supervisors say on camera? You're here to count the votes, not the folds. If you keep on telling me about the folds, we're going to kick you out. Count the vote. So what are they going to do? They're going to count every vote by hand.
Hang on, Eve. I'm going to turn it back over to you. But first, I want to say that last night, when I was doing the live stream, I thought at the time, so 20 hours ago, I thought this sounds like a great idea to have one representative from each party that appears on the ballot. So you have a Republican, a Democrat, you have a Libertarian representative, a Green Party if they're on the ballot in your city, whatever, and they all have to attest. Maybe on the speakerphone with the Secretary of State's office. Yes, this is how many votes. We agree, blah, blah, blah. It gets recorded, and then you can cross-check it later and make sure, blah, blah, blah.
No. Don't add you can cross-check it later. Yeah. Where'd you get that from?
Yeah. But what you just went through has made that plan irrelevant, too.
Well, no, you're going to count every vote. That's exactly what the Democrats said we have to do in 2020. Yes, let me give you a different analogy. Okay, you just got to understand this. a 15-year-old kid goes to his dad and says, Dad, my buddies are getting together and I need 15 bucks for pizza. Can I have 15 bucks? So the dad basically gives him a $10 bill, 3 $1 bills, and 2 Monopoly $1 bills. Now this kid goes, wait a minute, Dad, I need 15 bucks for pizza. And the dad goes, count it. Just count it again. Kid counts it. Now he's smart. He's possibly going to be a Republican because he goes, there's a $10 bill here. There are 3 $1 bill here. So there's 2 $1 Monopoly bills. He goes, Dad, I told you I need 15 bucks. This is not 15 bucks. Dad goes, I told you to count it. I didn't tell you to audit it.
Oh, hell. Oh, yeah. Okay. Eve, I'm sorry. What do you got here?
Well, no, I was just going to say that this whole
on the
bank
screen.
your vote thing has had me really, really concerned from the very beginning. And who was it? I think it was you guys this morning. There's the statistic coming out of Pennsylvania that says that 250,000 mail-in ballots to the good of the Republicans are showing up this year versus 2020.
Yeah, looks
And-
pretty positive for Trump.
Well, listen to this though, not to stick a pin in it again, but
No, we're good.
the whole bank your vote thing and what Jovan is talking about issues with counting. I have had worries since the very beginning of this because, obviously if they're going to cheat one way, they're going to know somebody's going to basically try to duplicate what they had done, even although they're going to try to do it a legal way. All they'll have to do is find a precinct that they know is really heavy, loaded with pro-Trump votes. And then somewhere in the process saying, you know what, look at this. They can even dump in, like bad envelopes, or if they even if they put a few fraudulent envelopes at a precinct, somebody mail in something that they knew was fraudulent. And the next thing they know, like Jovan said, you don't know which one is which. And they say, you know what, we know there were 5 fraudulent ballots in here that got separated. We are going to have to, invalidate this precinct on this date. I mean, Jovan, does that concern you?
No, because there is no path to invalidate the precinct. They can't because that's a 14th Amendment violation. And you have to identify it by voter, and you can't do fait accompli and throw everybody out. And they know that. That's why they don't care about this. But also, let me give you an example. See, the con to keep people from looking into the paper, each ballot that is actually mailed to somebody that is not qualified or illegal is a 3.5-year prison sentence. Each ballot. Accepting a ballot that is illegal and counting it is the same 3.5-year prison sentence, talking about states like Pennsylvania. And so they got to keep you away from the paper. Now, this is the difference of everybody told you, it's the machines, it's the machines, it's the machines, right? So they led you to believe that the machines actually bulk change the votes. So they came up with this idea for you that we're going to look at the paper by hand counting it. Now, you shortchange looking at the paper as an audit. It must be legit. You're going to have the paper. And here's what's going to happen. They're going to say it's this many votes. You're going to look at the paper and you're going to find the paper matches because they're not swapping the votes on the machine. And what is it going to do? Validate the machines. It's no difference than, let's say, your company has an image problem and the whole world thinks you're inept. And so you've got to stage an event that'll make the whole world think you're great. So how could we do this? Well, let's see, we're a protection agency. Let's catch a shooter that was trying to shoot the president. Well, that's that dumbass we actually found in Mar-a-Lago, right? And they catch him, which it was all a staged event. But who came out looking great? Because from 1,500 yards away, they saw that little bitty black barrel sticking out of the fence in the brush, and they caught him. No, that was an event for the Secret Service to try to wash them as looking good. You're going to find the same thing in the hand counts. It's just a placation because You think because you've been told the machines changed the votes, you're going to find it in the physical ballot. You're not, because it's going to match.
Mm-hmm.
Eve, do you want me to
Yep.
put this screen on the up here?
Yes, if you would
slide.
mind. This is
Oh, by the way, just so you know, they've only had 4 years to prepare to do this. So they've got a little bit of time to get this right. The ePulse features. So what she's putting on the screen here is what goes on all these wonderful electronics is customizable real-time election night reporting. That's the same as why have the voting? Our voting machines don't connect to the internet to tell you how many people voted. It's because the Pulse features do it. Ballot tracking. Update voter rolls minutes before an election and nil real time. Why would you need to update voter rolls and minutes just before an election in real time? So you can add more voters as needed.
exactly. And this is the problem with early voting. You know, they know how many days they're already voting, what, in Virginia?
Yep.
They
30
can
days,
update
2
the
weeks,
voter
whatever it
rolls.
is. It's ridiculous. Some states even went to 6 weeks early voting.
Yep. Okay, now, hang on. A couple more things on this particular.
Keith, you wanted hope. Yes. Hammering, oppression, political, right? Egregious crap. There's your hope. HOPE.
I appreciate that. Has a state that doesn't have early voting, from what you've been able to determine, has a state or very limited early voting been stolen in your estimation?
Every election's been stolen at one point or time, but the states that have the least problems and the least fungibility are states that don't allow early voting, and states that don't allow APIs into the voter rolls, and states that have true restrictions regarding what constitutes your ability to request a mail-in ballot. Those states, compared to this other states, are spick and span.
Okay. Eve, I see another slide here.
Yep.
Put that up. Okay.
Yep. So this is what that ePulse can do from the actual poll book. So you'll just say, basically, it can grab individual voter files. They also have audit logs. I'm not going to, there's more files that I can show you with that, but I don't need to. Basically, it's showing you, listen, we can reach down to those individual poll books. We can pull this into that ePulse. Remember, these are all endpoints on the system. We showed you in the contract that CrowdStrike, anybody's eyes in CrowdStrike can reach any of the endpoints on the system. So these are your capabilities.
Right. So they not only know what ballot to use. Remember, there's multiple formats.
Yeah.
Because they know the person and they can pull the individual voter file, they have several things. They now know the precinct they need to put it in, so they can make it look for the precinct. And they now know who's not going to come looking for the ballot. Why would a poll book, to see who checked in, need to be able to import the voter file? That's why.
Now, that's
let me
importing.
know.
Now I'm gonna make it even better. Hang on.
Okay. And let me know, Eve, when you want me to play that video. Seems like we're getting close.
Oh yeah, we're getting close. You're
okay. It's ready. Just tell me whenever.
Why? Are you getting hopeful and you need us to run something again?
Yeah. Back off. Okay, go ahead, Eve. You may put this on the screen?
Yeah, go ahead. So basically, it can import, it can export. So it can take and it can give.
It says it right there.
So let me ask you a question, Keith. When you went in and checked in at the poll book, did you say, "Hey, I want a copy of my voter history. Could you print it out for me?" Of course not.
And this is where the real worry of bad registrations comes in.
There you go.
Okay. All right.
They can actually take, with that information right there, they can take and crack your file, pull your history in half, give you a brand new voter ID, drag half of it down and make it look like you were a voting voter for years, because you're not checking it to check every time you voted. But see, did they change the vote? No, they create the voter. It's always people, paper, and programs, period.
Yeah. If you've ever volunteered, I was able to volunteer once. It was paper poll books, and they give you your ID and you look for the person. And the paper poll books are just a reflection of the e-poll book, what's in there. the amount of bad information in those pages was overwhelming. So, you know, what he's saying is true. There's all this fungibility. There's all this, nobody audits that stuff. Listen, if you've ever audited anything, whether it's inventory, whether it's accounting, it's not fun. It's meticulous. So we've got people, you know, in these government agencies, in your counties and in your states, they should be auditing this stuff every single year. They should be having, you know, if you have to give a state of your state address, you know, or you should have to have your Secretary of State give a state of the voter roll address.
I think, I believe that President Trump, if he gets in, he should enact a law that if your voter rolls are inaccurate, your county does not get its federal funding.
I think it's smart.
Okay, I like that.
Tie it to the money. If your voter rolls are inaccurate, if your voter rolls have discrepancy, if you're not managing it right, because everything goes from the ballot votes for how much money you get because it says how many people, it basically drives everything as the financial instrument. If your voting roll, you cannot prove basically impeachably without unimpeachable evidence that it's clean and good, you actually don't qualify for your federal funding.
Yeah, you have to do stuff like that.
Let me ask you this, and I want to be very specific here. I'm not asking, do you think that these states that I'm about to mention are completely locked and we're good and everyone should have 100% confidence in them? I'm not asking that at all. What I am asking is, of the 6 states, see if I can remember them, the 6 problem children from 2020 that, in my opinion, were stolen from Donald Trump to the benefit of Joe Biden. Do you believe, I'm talking Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, I'm sorry, let's see, Georgia, Pennsylvania. So I guess it's 7, I don't know.
7.
Do you have more confidence in any of those states that, in my opinion, were stolen? Are any of them any more secure now than 4 years ago? Are you confident in saying that?
Let's look at the 7 swing states. Here are all the positives. Number 1, independents and Democrats have now experienced that this current selected, not elected maladministration is not working, and they made a bad choice, and they are leaving that party. Next, more people now than ever realized, holy crap, I better take voting seriously because politicians are doing stuff I don't agree with, and I've got to get off my ass and vote. Okay? And then when you look at all of the changes that needed to be made, and there's about 10 for each of these swing states, and I'll list them in order, every change that each state did. Okay, I'm going to list, there's 10 for each state that should have been done. I'm going to go in alphabetical order by state and 1 through 10, and you can write them down. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you what each state changed election-wise.
Okay. I feel like I'm being set up by Jovan.
You're turning into Karl Rove.
I don't even need
well, I see you taking notes. Why would
I don't think I need this dry erase board. I feel like 1 through 10 is going to be some sort of dad joke coming up.
Okay, so I'll start with the first state that made a change.
Okay. Here we go. What do you got? See, I knew this. Why don't I even take the cap off?
Now I'll start with 1 through 10 of the changes that were actually on the books and done.
Okay, good. Boy, you're fun. Okay. Let me ask.
Don't punish the messenger.
No. Trust me. I want the truth. I want the truth.
Look, nothing changed in our election integrity laws outside of the deep state in the system, put people on the road for all 50 states, talking to 3,880 counties that represent 175,000 voting precincts, and told them it's the machines. Don't worry, we got it.
There we go.
And not a freaking thing was done. And they said, oh, by the way, don't change the voting rolls because that's just sweeping a dirt floor. Not a single thing changed. And even the states like Wisconsin, where they got rid of the drop boxes, they put them back on last week.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So even my my state of Georgia, my home state of Georgia, where the Atlanta Braves had the All-Star game taken from them because that state dared to do anything to clean up their voter rolls. You're telling me that there's not even a benefit there. That, in other words,
you're putting words in my mouth. You got to stop doing it.
I'm saying, is there anything positive that came from
Stop it.
that
I told you 4 million ballots and the lawmakers get 25 cents a piece. That's $1 million, dude. That's pretty positive.
I am not happy. So, okay, you want me to play this CrowdStrike video?
I sure do. Let me just set it up just for a second again. As we're playing this, remember the, should we put, before you do this, should we put up the map one more time, maybe?
Let's see.
Hang on. Let me put the map up one more time.
Got the map? Okay.
I will put up the map. Hang on.
Hey, but they are going to hand count the votes.
I'm not.
Every vote is going to count.
I'm not talking to you. So I do have some more questions, by the way. So tell me when you're ready.
I got more answers.
Go ahead, put the map up. And then we're going to put up the video. So just to review what we've looked at. We've looked at those systems, what they can do. They can download information. They can upload information. They can do it in real time.
Right.
It can be done and reviewed and monitored through CrowdStrike, your Albert Falcon system right here. Here's your state. It goes through Amazon Web Services. Here's your MSISAC through CIS. And these are your active monitors. So remembering this, we're going to watch a video that you're about to put up. This is all via CrowdStrike. It is live. And remember, upload, download, okay? You're going to hear words in this video, put, get. Put being download, get being upload, okay?
Okay, ready? Here we go.
Let's go.
And tell me when to stop it. I think I know when, but you just jump in whenever.
Here we see the host view where we can drill down to see system details. We have options to network contain the host or connect to host. Network containment prevents lateral movement and interrupts network access, including any communications that might be present on a compromised system. With real-time response, we have the ability to remotely connect to a host for remediation. There is a list of available commands that enable important tasks like killing processes, editing the registry, and getting copies of files for forensic study. The ability to put and get files from a remote system gives this tool unlimited potential. There is also a help option that provides guidance on using the available commands. In addition to running commands, we also have the ability to leverage PowerShell scripts and executables. Those can be local to the system or deployed via real-time response. In this example, we will run an executable that already exists on the remote system to create a local backup of the system files. Being able to run any executable, command, or PowerShell script remotely has many applications, including administrative tasks, software management, incident response, and forensics collection, as we will see in the next example. Again, we will connect to the host, but this time we will use a custom PowerShell script to collect files via real-time response. Instead of being on the local system, this script is staged, making it quick and easy to execute. This option gives us easy access to those scripts and executables that might be commonly used during remediations, deployments, and other system management tasks. In this case, we will also add a custom parameter, a ticket number. This specific script then collects the important files like the Windows event log and zips them into a file identified by the ticket number before uploading that file to forensic storage for further analysis.
That's good.
Now, do you get the point about we watch everything, we can run everything? Let's take CrowdStrike and let's just name it Baba Yaga. Applesauce. It doesn't matter what you name it. It doesn't matter who the company is. If they can remotely access it, run any executable, kill any operation, replace operation in real time, and have scripts on standby to swap that were never on the system to begin with, do you think anything nefarious can happen?
And remember, motive. We have agencies that are suspected, I think, the majority of Americans of committing crime. Let's just say crimes, okay? And we've got a candidate that directly, he could kill all of their jobs. He could get rid of full agencies. He could they have a motive. And so this is the thing.
They have a direct financial interest in making sure he does not get back in. All of these companies and all of these agencies and all of the people tied with them and all of the government systems that just took another $60 billion for the Ukraine.
So yes, they have a motive, they have the method. So, you have people whose entire lives are spent in spycraft. You're putting them with full ability to see everything, gain everything, and do everything in the system. Call me a complete nutcase that people that practice spycraft are gonna spy.
And you notice the Strokes, Peter Storks or whatever, and guys and Comeys and keep their job and have done nefarious things. Do you think when they're overlording and can be exposed by somebody, they're going to let the person that's going to come in to spend the money to expose them get in, ruin their retirement, find all the money? Do you think that's going to happen?
Let me put a question up here that early on in our conversation today, Sue Mariani posted over on YouTube, and I just want to let y'all address this. If Jovan and Eve could talk to the Trump campaign, and perhaps you have, what would you want to tell them?
Watch Keith's program. It's one of the best, well-informed programs with the most incredible guest ever.
Man, you know what? No, hold on a second. In all seriousness, y'all, in all seriousness, shows that Jovan is appeared on, not just this one. Those need, and I shame on me, maybe I should do this. We need to tag real Donald Trump on this stuff. I mean, I'm sure he knows of it.
Well, let me tell you how bad this is. Okay.
Okay.
Just look.
Here we go.
No, it's just the reality. You have to understand, people just don't connect the dots, right?
Yeah.
You see people running around the United States in bow ties or their Moses hairdos, and we're going to do a seminar and a documentary. We're going to save America. Let me ask you a question. Who pays for them to go to 50 states? Who pays for them to go to 3,880 counties and speak? Well, they're unemployed and I'm doing this. How many people can go on the road for 4 years doing this, fly around most of the time by private jet? Who's paying for that? Now, let me tell you how bad it is. So President Trump calls me in, and I'm coming in specifically just to meet with President Trump. We're sitting down at Mar-a-Lago in his private office. President Trump's directly ahead of me. Right behind me is Nunes and the president's staff that deals with election integrity. Let's call it 6, 7 other people. And so half of the time I'm sharing with President Trump. The other half of the time I'm on the opposite side of the desk with him, going through paperwork and sharing stuff. And he asked me a few questions. Okay, well, with all this stuff going wrong, and there's a difference between what I can do when I'm in and what I can't do because I'm not back in yet. And then, how does this work out? How did I get into 2016? I said, you got in 2016 because people got off their ass, sir. It's that simple. And the system couldn't account for it. I said, but with the pandemic and everything else, everything was rigged against you. That's how they did it. And I told President Trump, I said, here's what we need to do. I said, if I was you, I would totally get rid of the voter rolls. Everybody unanimously gets terminated. Boom. No more voter rolls, off the voter rolls. In fact, we ran elections more years without them than with them. Get rid of them. He said, well, I can do that when I'm in. I can't do it before. So what do we do? And I said, well, we can, using technology, forensics, and deep investigation techniques, so we can hand audit 169 million voter registrations, and we can have it done in about 120 days. And this will give us this amount of time to work through the courts, this amount of time to get it done, and we can't do anything 90 days before the election because it's not allowed. And we're going through it. And as I go through the whole program, behind me becomes President Trump's election integrity person that handles election integrity for President Trump. She's been a money raiser for over 40 years, comes from a very well-known family. And here's what she says. She says, we've been told not to clean the voter rolls. Don't even bother because they'll just put them back on in minutes. Now I'm sitting in the most important person in the world's office. Here's what we've got to do, right? And being told, well, we're told not to do that because they'll just put them right back on. Now we go to the flip side. Somebody paid for those people to go to 50 states, 3,880 counties, and get in and meet Team Trump to say, don't bother with the voting rolls because you can't clean them up. And during that time, not only did we not clean the voter rolls and get it done, 8 to 10 million illegals got put on, which we would have caught every one of them and caught exactly who was doing it. See, when you do the cleanup, you take this linear timeline of a voter roll that has thousands of APIs talking to it. That's programs. You and I, everybody participating with us right now, is interfacing by what's called an API. It's just an application program. That's it. We're interfacing. Maybe you're using YouTube, maybe you're using Rumble, maybe you're watching on Instagram, whatever the case may be. You don't like that app, you don't want to see it anymore, you get rid of it. That's what an API is. But they're saying, oh, we can't do the voter rolls. There's too many APIs. They'll just change it tomorrow. We'll see what happens when you audit. You take that very long linear timeline of crap and you cut it. Why? Because see, when an API asks permission, I want to talk to the voter database, what they don't want you to know is somebody goes, okay, here's your approval. And then another person on the inside, because it's people knocking from the outside, oh, okay, here's your key to do it. And then they don't want you to understand that even when they provision that thing, everything's now trackable because you live a digital footprint. But see, if you track that digital footprint, you're going to find out which desktops do it and which people and agencies are involved. So what do? They go on a roadshow telling you, it's the machines. And you can't clean the voter rolls because it's sweeping a dirt floor and everybody ignores it. So look, I can tell you firsthand, yeah, you can tag President Trump all you want. I can talk to President Trump all I want. I can have President Trump in that meeting between an hour and a half meeting focused on this, several hours afterwards, even going to dinner, telling the top person 8 times, you get with Jovan, you get this done, and still have it fall flat on its face for 2 reasons. Number one, we can't clean the voter rolls. They bring in other people. One of the other people they brought in is an attorney handling election stuff for President Trump. This attorney, she says to me, when I said, here's how we learned it, here's how we did it, came out and said this, ready? You didn't do an audit for Arizona, which of course was a myth and BS by the deep state. Well, you never turned in a report. All that mind screwing was to keep people to stay away from it. Just so you know, President Trump got rid of that attorney. Now she's the head attorney for elections for all of the GOP.
Well, and if I can add to the difficulty of this all, dealing with this group that has been working very, very hard in Kentucky, all the information that I gave you, I pipelined into them. They did a presentation there, and let's talk consent of the governed. They reported back that it was absolutely unanimous every single time this has been presented. One was a public forum, and then one was, I guess, a different meeting. But everybody there wanted to change their precinct voting so that they used paper poll books, and they had autonomous precincts where you couldn't, go to these voting centers. So what was reported back to me is the local officials, they decided they didn't either believe the information that was presented that we just showed you, or they wanted more feedback from voters. The real answer is what Jovan's basically saying. You have to get these voter rolls cleaned up, but at the same time, you have to shut the eyeballs out of the federal government. Right now, the easiest way to shut down the eyeballs is to go back to paper throughout. Now, Jovan, I think you and I have talked about this. I don't have an issue with digital scanners.
I don't have those. It's not the scanners. Those are disconnected machines. It's information, non-transparency, and collusion. Keith, here's what she's saying. If you vote in a precinct, the precinct people know you. You vote in your damn neighborhood. They basically know you. You keep it to 500 people to 1,000. right? That's how it used to be. That's where the roll was kept. That's where you voted. That's where you lived. Then they introduced this thing, well, we got to make it more convenient. So they introduced vote centers. So I'll use Arizona as an example, 748 precincts. Now, instead of the people that run the elections for 10 or 20 years knowing who you are, you're voting with your neighbors, your kids probably scout together or cheerlead together, and everybody knows everybody. Well, they got rid of it. Well, we need vote centers. And so they basically took the ratio 20-1, meaning now you got 20 precincts and they go to a vote center. So they started prepping for it. So now you can see it takes a lot more to manage. Then they had the pandemic and they went to total tally centers, 200 vote centers, and you can vote anywhere with no regard to your precinct. You know what the number of that is? That means any person in the precinct, forget having to know 2.5 million individual voters, they have to be able to understand everything in a matrix of 149,600 options that can be voted there on 10,500 different faces. It's all about mashing all this together to make it indistinguishable. That's what they did. That's why they don't want you looking at the systems, because if they can keep them all separated, like we told you about tally versus count, that's how they're able to do it. When the fix is so painfully simple, go back to the precinct level, one day voting, it's a holiday, paper voting, no machines, paper count, got to have ID, stick it right at the precinct level, and we can eradicate every bit of this. And the coup de grace would be just to get rid of the voter rolls, because that's their little insurance policy. So you know what? Let's cause them a little crap, make them start from zero again. But now with the information we learned, and we're a lot more diligent paying attention, so they can't do it again.
Yep. Paper.
Okay. Hold on a second. Now,
Keith, wait, one thing. I just want to see what I can see the stress. I'm seeing your hair fall out as we're doing this. The stress is so tough.
I don't know
okay?
that has anything to do with this conversation. That's been happening for a while. I want to show
let me
you
tell
this.
you, but hang on one second.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know how these rat bastards do it to us, you can't fix it. This is a blessing. You're seeing this and being told this, folks.
Yeah. So
don't let this get you down. This is what gives you hopes, because now we know how they do it.
But to William's question, so you're saying there's no way to fix this?
That's not what I said.
Question mark.
I said the opposite. I said 100% the opposite.
I got it. But allow me to address this before we continue. Let's just say that it doesn't get fixed on any level. All right. Is the remedy then what the antidote was in 2016, which is to just overwhelm the system with your votes?
Yes.
Like if so. In other words, if we can't beat them through fixing the system, then we have to beat them through making sure that we go and vote. And it's unfortunate. It's almost like we're trying to cover the spread. No,
you just called it. You hit the nail on the head. We've got to cover the spread. Yeah. And so it means that for all the family members that said, "Oh, screw it, I'm not going to vote. My vote doesn't count anyway." Well, you start saying, "Okay, then at least go register a Democrat and start learning Chinese." Basically, here's what it is. There is no fix for this election. It wasn't done. Mm-hmm. The only fix is you get your family and friends and everybody you talk to, talk about this, and all of you go vote together. Mm-hmm. You stand in line together. You even document together. I go as far, right? It was William. So William, I'm going to take a guess that your hair is probably not pink and blue. Here's what I'm going to recommend. Dye your hair pink and blue. You can either have pink or you can have blue, or you can have a half. Wear your tie-dye t-shirt and sandals and go vote. You know why? Let's psychologically muck those guys for a time to thinking nobody's showing up to vote for Trump. And let's overwhelm the system, all of us getting out there. And let's quit identifying ourselves so they can set us up. Don't go in camo. Don't even go in your Make America Great hat. Do what you need to do for yourself, and let's kind of screw with their heads, make them work harder, and we've got to overwhelm the system. So I say, you know what? Be a liberal for a day.
For a day, yeah. Well, not in the private booth, though. In there, you're a conservative.
That's right.
Okay, what we say?
Everything you said about overwhelming the system votes is the solution for this particular election. And Keith, back to what you and I had talked about earlier. Don't let polls dissuade you or anybody that you know from going.
It's crap.
Polls are only for headlines. Polls are to influence and mind bend you. And if you look at all the polls that have been taken since Donald Trump went down the golden elevator, he was never, ever, ever ahead in the consensus.
Hillary was going to win 95%.
Yeah.
Remember that poll? They published
Yes.
it. Hillary would win by 95%.
And if you go to Real Clear Politics, and I highly recommend if you want to look at polling, because they'll put, tons of polling up and they'll pull averages. If you look historically, because they'll put on this day historically what the average was. Donald J. Trump was never ahead, but for one period of time. He was ahead for one period of time. And that was, Keith, do you want to answer the question?
No, because you already gave me the answer, and I love it.
It was this
I'm
spring.
not going to cheat here. Like
it was this spring. It was April, May, going into June. He was ahead by a lot. He was ahead by 5, 6, sometimes 10 points. He was allowed to be ahead in the polls? Why was he allowed to be ahead in the polls? They had to get rid of Joe Biden.
Yeah,
that's right.
The polls were used for a purpose.
Warfare to crap in the heads. So the Democrats who loved Biden would say, "Oh my God, they're beating us. We got to change." It's all crapping in your cranium, folks.
And so, what are the polls saying this time? Like right now,
the polls are saying exactly what they did.
I got the answer. Ready?
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
No, wait. There's one thing that does matter.
Yeah, let her make this point.
The polls are telling you that those groups that we showed you inside the government will operate. They are showing you they're going to operate because that's plausibility. Right? If they're going to pull something off, it's plausibility. And I think that they are freaking out right now because you're seeing it on campuses breaking deep for Trump. Did you see yesterday? Notre Dame broke like 56-year precedent, and their student poll flipped to Republican for the first time in 56 years. You've got Charlie Kirk. You've got other people out on campuses. There's Donald Trump, just waves of kids. I mean, so that's the Gen X and Gen Z, not Gen X, that's us, the Gen Z group. So now, because, and you've got unions breaking very heavily for Trump. So the polls are tight because they need to operate. But now you know that they're freaking out because now the DNC is putting big money. I heard it's $9 to $10 million into getting people overseas on a UOCAVA ballots, register and try to flood ballots coming in this way.
Right. UOCAVA ballots, by the way, don't have to have a format. You don't even have to vote on the ballot. You can handwrite it on lined note paper as long as it comes from that designate on the other side offered for UOCAVA. They have to count it as a vote. And it's not audited. By email too.
I vote for X.
They can say, I vote for Kamala. The reality is you cannot believe anything you're seeing. It doesn't matter where it is, because the psychological warfare is on both sides. You've got to trust your gut, and your gut is we're headed fast to hell in a handbasket, and you got to go fight for your country. That means get out there. That means you've got to tell your family it doesn't matter what you're seeing in the polls at any time. Even if all of a sudden you start hearing Trump's going to win in a landslide, don't. Everything's a lie. Operate like everything's a lie, and believe in the one thing and the one person you can control, and that's you.
Exactly. I was talking to somebody who's in the counseling field today, and he said in the counseling field, you learn to look at statistics and understand that, like what we're talking about, polls can be bent on opinion, on feelings and emotions. And you've got to professionally be able to filter out feelings and emotions and so on and so forth. Well, these are news agencies that run these polls. News agencies now don't report facts. They report narratives. They have no ability to filter out, opinion, like feelings anymore. They're all about feelings.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So their polls are going to reflect what they want them to reflect. They're going to ask the people that they feel they need to ask to get the outcome that they want.
Look, it's just like the crime statistics came out and said in all 50 states, the murder rate's down. Yeah, it is. It's truth. Those are reports. Then you look into the report and you find out that cities stopped reporting it because it was no longer a requirement.
Right.
You have to understand, folks, we are at war. Nothing is real. Nothing is true, and expect the absolute worst, but depend on only the one person you can trust, and that's you.
So, I mean this sincerely when I say, Jovan, Eve, y'all are intelligent people. And I have a question for you, something else from last night's live stream that I kind of just mused out loud. And I want you to explain, I'm putting you on the spot again. I want you to either explain why this is a dumb idea or a good idea. But I was mentioning how Nebraska decided, we're not going to change the way we apportion our electoral votes. We're going to keep it as congressional districts and not do the whole winner take all as most states do. So it just kind of occurred to me, would that, and this is out of the, I'm not talking about voter fraud or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, generally speaking, what are your thoughts, put you on the spot, of just every congressional district being an electoral vote throughout the nation? If every state did what Nebraska and Maine do y'all have any thoughts on that as a possible, I don't know, who would benefit more in that respect? I just want to see what you think on that. Anyone? Bueller?
Go, Eve. You can go first.
Bueller? Oh, okay. So Jovan doesn't like it, I can tell.
No. Well, you know what? Who was I listening to? I think it was Bucksustic, Clay Travis. He said that there is a statistical possibility that it could come down to the one municipality. Is it Nebraska? Or is this Kansas?
Well, Omaha's got the...
Omaha. It's Omaha.
Omaha's the ones that go for go blue on occasion and have
So
last time.
If we want to really blitz a city for Trump, it needs to be Omaha, freaking Nebraska.
Yeah.
Because we need that to break for Trump. Because, I mean, that could tie it up.
Mm-hmm. All right, Jovan, let me have it. Why does it suck?
Oh, I do. That's not my answer. My answer is that I believe, let's go back, let's be biblical. Can we agree that the 10 Commandments are perfect?
I don't see why not.
Okay.
But
I'm a Jew.
And I don't know that. I don't know that because that's. Hold on. I'm going to let you make your point unadulterated. But what I'm saying is, in a country such as ours that is so divided, we can't even agree on where our freedoms emanate from.
You're right.
I mean, I've got the Constitution. I've got the Bill of Rights hanging over here. That's where I say they come from. But above that, I say those rights come from God. Mm-hmm. I can't get that agreement from half the country, at least.
You're right.
And many of them think that our rights come from the government. And so that the government is going to be the one, the arbiter of my freedom.
You're right. And that's by design that they did that.
Exactly. All right.
But let's go back for a minute, because there's a point that if you were to look at the 10 Commandments and you just lived by the 10 Commandments, society will and people will rock and roll. Now, if you look at our Constitution compared to other places in the world, our Constitution and Bill of Rights are also as brilliant and as short as the 10 Commandments, where other countries haven't been able to do it. Now, I use that analogy to basically say, I believe that's the hand of God, right?
Yep.
That you have to understand what the United States of America is. Yes, we're the land of freedom, but you got to understand we're the land that got our asses kicked and handed to us first. Because we all left other countries where we were brutalized, oppressed, taxed to oblivion, killed, right, for our beliefs, murdered because we didn't adopt the right things. And we finally said, I'd rather take a risk on the ocean. The most dangerous thing at the time that most people never survived, only about 10% of the people that took ocean trips then actually made it, and said, I'd rather face that than face what I'm facing here. And so they left and made it and created this incredible country. Now, I have to believe that's divine. And so that's the only way I can answer you this about electoral college and everything else. I think how our system was set up was divine. And we have to operate within that. But I really have a problem with that. Of course, the systems couldn't see that now we have media and how much the media can play into it and how much the media can sway into it and how many things can be swayed in popularism in this, because it has all now been confused, right? Because you can now be a nationalist and a populist and believe you're doing right for the country, but believe the propaganda, hate Donald Trump and he'll be a dictator, and you will go the wrong way because of that mix instead of absolutism. And there's only one absolutism, and the absolutism, we're voting for the survival of our way of life, period. And there is only one candidate, period, right now at this point in time that will get us there. That candidate can only serve one term. He's too old. But give them the one turn, and we got a 4-year crack at least cleaning this up and getting ourselves straight. So therefore, in mucking with the system or even throwing those things out there, I wouldn't, because we have to focus on what this vote is really about. And the vote is really about, we're only voting for the continuation of our incredible constitutional republic, and that's it. And that's all you have to vote for.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. It's not a popular vote. It's not a woman vote. It's not even a freaking abortion vote. It is a vote. Can we keep our heads above water enough with somebody that at least has been shown that financially we can stay above water? So we got 4 years to clean up the crap so we can get on better footing and fight this, which is still going to continually keep coming at us.
And Eve, I'll totally turn the floor over to you here. I know you have another slide ready, I believe. I just want to throw this in, just tuck this in on the whole electoral college, congressional district discussion. I think part of what has gotten out of hand in this country, and I am very apprehensive as far as altering what the founders set up, but I think that we can agree, and I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but I think that we can agree that as things have gotten out of hand, right down to the way that Maricopa County with the voting center instead of the precincts, which you alluded to earlier, if we look at the nation. And we're able to micro it down to congressional districts. And again, I don't know that this makes sense. I'm just thinking on the fly here, off the cuff, last night and right now, is that if you're able to somehow shrink that down, not only from because Democrats want a popular vote. Screw that. We have the Electoral College state by state. And I'm just thinking that if you actually hone it down to congressional district by congressional district, you're forcing these candidates to go to all of these locations, all of these congressional districts, because each electoral vote, now they have to, instead of just even the big cities. Anyway, it's a way to kind of shrink down. The size of our government has exploded since the Civil War.
No, I hear what
any
you're
way
saying.
To rein that in. But anyway,
no, look, you're right.
Theory.
You're right statistically, but if you go back and look at the states, you're going to find in red states, they've got those damn blue dots. They focused it where they need to focus it. And that blue dot infection in the major cities is what makes everything begin to go purple and then go blue. We get swung in the United States of America by 6 counties. 6 counties determine our fate as Americans. So yes, mucking with any of that scares me, but at the same time, everything's broken.
Eve, things here real quick.
You want me to put this on the screen?
In a minute.
Okay.
But one of them is, there's been a lot of talk. I've been in this, Jovan's been in this longer than me. But what's really tough for people like us is it's a day-to-day thing when you're digging through this stuff. We find movement, we find people and traction 2 to 4 times, every 2 years, every 4 years, something like that. When we're back on your show in November, whether we win or whether we lose, we need to continue to pick apart the system. If we win, we need anybody who's in here. We don't need them to just give us a collective sigh and we did it and walk away. We need
Mhm.
everybody to start to get into your local precincts and into your county clerks and start to really push this issue. Victory is not a victory on fixing the system, as we said. Victory is because we got everybody out. Number two, I spent a lot of time this past month with somebody from a foreign country. And this person was very clear. Jovan has said this over and over again. He said, the way this goes in November, he said, it's just going to take about 6 months and it's coming here. And this was not from somebody in a democracy. It was not a dictatorship, but he knew, but for this is going to come here.
They understand the writing's on the wall for all of us globally.
Yeah, absolutely. And then to what you had said, Keith, the way with congressional districts, how many of you see your lawmakers? Unfortunately, you see them about every 2 years, and that's it. You know, I mean,
well, I don't know. We could see them more frequently if we got invitations to Diddy's parties.
Right. Exactly.
Look, I honestly, I love y'all dearly, and I can't imagine, just from my perspective, as an American, this is frustrating, this is enraging, this is depressing, and I am just an American out here. Y'all have dedicated so much time, so much effort and energy, and it's got to be frustrating for you that this stuff doesn't get fixed and it doesn't get cleaned up, yet you continue to preach this message that people with power in the ability and in the positions to do something just aren't even paying attention to you.
Look, there's times we call each other in tears, unable to cope. I'm just telling you the truth.
I don't doubt
if it wasn't for the two of us at different times, just being able to let it all hang out and cry and go, oh my God, my children, you can't get through it because it's nasty. And look, you're only hearing just direct facts. When you see the underbelly and you truly, truly name names and you know how it occurs, it's even worse than you could ever imagine. But it is only through truth that winning comes, period. And so God bless that we're seeing this and we're seeing the truth. We are no longer blind. God gave us a gift, but this gift is for mankind to realize it's a gift and you've got to react. God's testing our free will.
I've taken already 2 hours of your time. I'm going to let y'all wrap this up here. Eve, did you want me to put this on here?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to put that up really quick, it's for people that are on here, I don't know where people are from. I need to try to, can you zoom in on that or do I need to zoom in on that?
You'll have to do it.
You'll need to do that.
I'll need to zoom in on it. Let's just go here and look at, whoops, that's too big. That's too little.
You want me to take it off while you get it ready?
I think we're good.
Yeah,
Can you read that?
Keith, it's just your banking information, your password. Go ahead.
Oh, that's cool. There's nothing in there.
It's for real-time deposits and monitoring only.
Yeah, no, I cannot. I don't know where my glasses are. Plus, I can't. It's
well, basically what this does is I took some time. I had to jump on this really super fast because of other things that I was required to do this month. But I took every single e-poll book system and I put their capabilities down, the states that use them. I apologize, the states aren't in alphabetical order. I just did them as they appeared on the map. So this is more my geography prowess than anything else. But and you don't have the names of the systems on here now because it falls off. But you can just see, you know, this one concurrently writes changes to a local database and an SQL server, which before we wrap, I want to talk about SQL for a minute as well. You go down here, connects to Precinct Central Console, web-based .NET application that allows remotely monitor touchpads. Again, these aren't supposed to be connected to the internet, right? They keep telling you that over and over and over. And again, back to the idea that you had Pillow Guy saying, you know, we're going to have these network sniffers and we're going to prove they're on the internet. You didn't. Why even spend the money? We know they are. It's all in their own information.
Right.
This says they run on computer. This concerns me. This one, I believe, these are in-house poll books. Jovan, you probably tripped across this maybe in Maricopa, but there are a few states that write their own software and systems. There's very little information as far as security on these, but they just run on off-the-shelf systems. So here again, real-time updates.
Those systems through the county services and land are monitoring what's going on, but it doesn't qualify because it's technically not the voting systems reporting out. No, it's outside systems pulling from within that have been approved by the very officials that are supposed to run this properly. It's
exactly. And remember our last few shows that we did with the EISCC. Go look down this list where you've got AES, 10X, ESNS, VOTEC, VR Systems, Knowing. These are the groups that run the elections. They're the ones that signed off that said it was the most secure election in U.S. history in 2020. Anyway, that's that. You can take that down now. But I just wanted to show people that it's not just that one poll pad that I showed you. It's I'd say 95%.
They're everywhere. Yeah, sure.
Yep. And then back to the SQL thing.
Okay.
Just again, if I can just, so proud of that book, Jovan, everything that you did to get that thing put together. We knew it was right, but there's a few extra things. There it is. There was a video that was kind of shared a bit on X this week, and it caught my attention. Somebody had commented on it with the book, actually. And the comment was, this book was right the whole time. And and I was so proud of that, because that book had mentioned that part of that CrowdStrike system used, what was it? It was another third party with a third party software with a known SQL vulnerability. And there's a quote in the book about Brookings, I think it's the Brookings Institution, talks about how the government will let these things be deployed with known vulnerabilities because they need backdoors.
Yes.
Right. These are planned. And I'm privy to other security sides of the industry that knows that most of these companies, if they're going to deploy on a Fortune 500 company, they have got to be tight. Like the last thing they want is a vulnerability. However, obviously they let them go out on these government systems. That SQL vulnerability in the video that I watched, and Jovan, I never watched the documentary, I guess it was the Tina Peters thing, which is such a tragic story, but the expert they had on there was explaining how somebody got in there on the SQL database. They showed what they were able to do. They showed that they were able to exit and yet left no login, no password. And we had written about that 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's why you saw with the CrowdStrike and everything you were showing, they have sidebars running and can do it. All of that cloaks it, but that's also why there were 30,000 anonymous incursions into the database in Maricopa in 2020.
Yes,
you can see something was there. It just doesn't leave a footprint to tell you where, unless you get the routers and Splunks, which was the only thing the government, law enforcement, and the senators and House would not let us have.
Exactly. And that was going to be my last point on that whole SQL thing, is they said that there was no record of user, no password, anything like that. Since the original iteration of these being deployed, 2016 and forward, now, if you're going to be on the system, you're going to have to be required to have a system that's AI compatible. So not only do you have people that are assessing the data, we showed you the download and the upload, they can pull these files and they can have human beings look at them. But if they need to send anything, or if they need to assess anything with numbers, we've got AI doing it now, and it's completely anonymous, and it's scary as hell.
Let me give you a decoding on that, Keith, real quick. When they said, and they come back and said, the system doesn't have any names or passwords of who came in it. Do you understand what they're saying? They're saying, yes, there were 30,000 anonymous locations. We don't keep those in our systems because we didn't give them passwords, and they don't log in with us. Those come in through the back door. You'll find them over here But on our systems, we don't have users and passwords. That's the decoding of their answer.
Incredible. It's just, all right. By the way, before we go, I want to make sure that people know where to find you. Jovan, Hutton, Pulitzer.locals.com, also at fireaxeacademy.academy. Explain what people will find there as they want to further down this road.
Locals is where I can talk frankly and name names, so you can support my work on locals. Jovan, Hutton, Pulitzer.locals.com, because it's not where I'm going to get banned. I give you a tremendous amount of legal documents. I give you the court filings. A lot of them I'll narrate for you, because most people never have the time to read them, so you can listen to them in your car to understand what's going on in the court. To train you on the other side, because poll watching is like teaching you to watch for the, Black Power Party intimidating people in 1960. Even if you were watching something at a polling place, would you know if something was going on? No, you wouldn't. And so we started FireAxe Academy. That's fireaxe.academy, to basically teach you all of these nefarious things they're doing and how they work. So you can sign up there if you really want to understand the inside of the systems, how they do it, and truly become an election expert. That's where you do it.
I mean, somebody watching right now may be the keystone that prevents a precinct from falling prey.
You better believe it.
Be on the lookout, and might change the whole election.
That's right.
If I may just put a really pathetic beg job out here. Jovan has been a wonderful friend and colleague on this for so many years. He has done an amazing job getting the word out. And I am just pleading that the facts that we put out here, that people at the Blaze, whether it's Pat Gray or Glenn Beck or, people within your organization that do, just different research.
Sure.
That, I don't know what there is to argue about. There's nothing controversial here. I'm just begging and pleading that ahead of the election, that we can get somebody to grab onto this. Keith, you're great. And I think you do a heck of a job. I love listening to you and your show. But we've got to continue to push this up the food chain.
I'm with you 100%. I would really appreciate, as an American, bigger fish to pay attention to this and allow you, both of you, a platform to discuss this for sure. Well, I look forward to, and by the way, please share this with everybody, tag whoever you think you would like to see have sit in this chair and have the conversation on a larger platform, a very important conversation with Jovan and Eve. And just please spread this around. It's here. People are voting. This is a 3-part series at this point. We'll do part 4 2 days after the election on November 7th. We'll meet here at 2 p.m. Eastern and continue the conversation. And hopefully we have smiles on our faces and we're not, completely stressed out. That's the hope. But in the meantime, please, as a concerned American, which you obviously are if you're watching this, please share this and make sure that your family and friends and coworkers are awake, and make sure that they do show up and vote on November 5th. Jovan, Eve, appreciate your time as always. Thank you all for spending it with me.
Thank you much. God bless you.